Hey everybody. Hi. I'm sitting here realizing that I look a little disheveled, but I wanted to stop in and make a quick little live video because I want to try to make videos when I'm actually going through the thing that is really hard so that I can talk to you guys as it's happening, because I feel like I can be a little more real with you and a little more, I'll remember what's happening if I'm actually going through it versus trying to talk about it later. So I'm just trying to get a little bit better light here. Okay, so I want to preface this by saying that I don't blame the person who made the video that was upsetting to me, and um I love this channel that I was watching when I got really triggered. I watch this person's videos all the time. It just so happens that this particular video that he made was really triggering to me. So, and I'm also hoping that maybe you guys can help me figure out how to get YouTube to stop recommending this video to me without me having to unsubscribe from this person's channel. So, as you know, I did a lot of EMDR work on trying to deal with all of my trauma around the rapture and like end times theology and all of that kind of stuff. And the EMDR was really successful. And I will say that it has been more successful than anything else that I have tried, as far as trying to make my triggers less. And, I probably need to go in and do some maintenance. EMDR, sometimes you have to go in and make another pass at things to try to, eradicate it if it starts to pop up again. I don't think I'm probably going to go until after the holidays, because holidays are stressful and EMDR is really stressful. And so I just don't want to heap too much stress on myself when the holidays are coming up. So anyways, I have in the past had a lot of rapture anxiety and a lot of triggers about rapture anxiety. And my rapture anxiety comes mostly from the time that I was in the United Pentecostal Church, although my mother was sort of already kind of obsessed with rapture theology before we even joined that church. It was just while we were there, I feel like things got really amplified and made a lot worse. So, where to start? So I watch another YouTuber called the Cinema Snob, or Stoned Gremlin, and he does a lot of old movie reviews of old movies and kind of funny reviews of old movies. And he watches a lot of B movies and really strange movies. And I love film review. I love film review channels, and I love commentary on films. I have people that I watch all the time religiously, and I probably watch more film review content on YouTube than anything else. So, I stumbled upon a video that I didn't even know he was doing these, which were a year-long retrospective. So I think he started with 1980, and then he did 1981. And so I watched the 1981, which was old, and then this year he just put out the 1981. And so I was watching it, and he's talking about every film that was released in 81, and kind of showing the trailers and talking about film trends and things like that. And I found it really, really interesting. And then when I wasn't expecting it at all, he talked, it just flashed on the screen, before I could even react. He started talking about the Thief in the Night series and this film that was released in 81, which was part of the series. And I think it was probably the third one, but I don't remember because frankly, I just kind of shut down. And I've been doing really well with that kind of stuff. But I think that when it affects my complex PTSD the most is when I'm not expecting it. So I'm sitting there cuddled up in my blanket, watching one of my favorite YouTubers, and all of a sudden, I'm inundated with these images from these movies, which is like super triggering to me. So I got through it. I kept watching the video after that, but I just had this like feeling of unease and discomfort. And if you don't have complex PTSD, you probably don't understand what it's like to actually have a trigger from something like this. I get a tightness in my chest. I get sick in the pit of my stomach. My pulse starts to go really fast. And I just definitely go into like a fight or flight mode. And sometimes I freeze. So it's like I'm in this fight or flight mode, but I can't really move. I feel very incapacitated. And, you know, I was just like, oh my God. Because I mean, I've watched him do so many Christian movies and even like a ton of Christian rapture movies, but none of them bother me the way that that series does. Now, there is another film that he did that was a quote unquote Christian film. And it's called If Footmen Tire You, What Will Soldiers Do? Or What Will Horses Do? And just watching the review of that kind of caused me to kind of like have this reaction. So sometimes I'll watch his reviews more than once. I don't watch that one because it's really upsetting to me. But other than that, I've been able to watch his reviews of all these Christian movies and even these Christian rapture movies, and I've been fine. So I just sort of thought maybe he's not aware of these movies, or maybe he just doesn't want to do them for some reason. Like maybe he's triggered by them, or maybe he knows somebody who's triggered by them, because there are a lot of people out there that have a lot of really serious reactions to those films because they were shown those films as children when they were not mentally capable of handling that material. So I made it through that, and I told my husband about it, and I was like, oh my God, Sean, like, I can't believe this. Now I feel unsafe when I watch his videos, and I don't know what's going to pop up when I'm not expecting it. So I'm sitting there the other night and I'm watching YouTube. I'm just like mostly watching the news, because the other thing that I use YouTube for is like watching MSNBC or CNN or whatever and like catching up on the news. I try to only do it once a day because I can't really take that steady diet of news right now, because everything, like the world is a dumpster fire, and we all know this. And so Debbie tries to only watch the news once a day. So I'm sitting there, I'm again bundled in my pajamas, in my blanket, cozy on my couch, minding my own business. And what pops up on my YouTube screen as soon as I go to YouTube is Brad has done a review of Thief in the Night, which wouldn't have been so bad because, you know, I can handle like the cover that shows up on the video, like the thumbnail, but then it starts flashing through. Like if you don't like move the screen along on YouTube, like I use YouTube on Apple TV. So if you don't move the screen along, it starts flashing through scenes from the video, which is scenes from the movie. And I immediately was like thrown into a massive state of panic. And now every time I open YouTube, it's like, don't you want to watch this video? You know you want to watch this video. You love the Cinema Snob. You should watch this video. So like YouTube just keeps suggesting it to me and putting it in my stream. And I don't know how to get rid of it without unsubscribing. So if anybody has a hint about that and they're willing to like put it in the comments or the chat, that would be super helpful to me. So this particular movie has a very iconic song, and I'm not gonna even say it because I don't even wanna say it. If you know, you know. And, I heard just, like, a little bit of it, and it stuck in my head, and I couldn't get it out of my head. So I told my husband about the fact that now this video keeps popping up. And you know how YouTube is? Like, if you're subscribed to something and you're watching something and it finishes, it'll just, like, roll into what it thinks you wanna watch. So it rolls into this movie that I just can't handle, and so I got this song stuck in my head last night, and I was so panicked and so miserable and so, like, trying to spend my whole evening, and, Sean had gone to bed at this point, like, trying to spend my evening pushing the panic away and, trying to figure out how to get this song out of my head and how to get these images out of my brain and how to think about something else. And, I have some go-to things that I do that will help me. Like sometimes like just listening to a different song for a while or like, listening to a podcast, like something completely different will help me shake it off. But last night I just had this like haunted sensation all night. And I was actually really afraid to go to sleep because I was really afraid that I was going to have nightmares. Before I did EMDR, several times a year, I would have nightmares about, getting my head chopped off and being chased by, you know, uh, the governmental, figures that are going to come and drag me to the guillotine. Like I would have dreams like that all the time. And last night, I was really afraid to go to sleep because I'm thinking I'm going to have nightmares. Now, if I did dream about it, I don't remember, which is a plus. Like I'll take it. It's great. Weirdly, I had a dream about Shelley Duvall of all people. I have no idea why. I have no idea why. But anyways, I was really triggered and I'm a little bit triggered today. And I'm home alone because Sean is gone. So I'm in the house by myself. And get me, I understand if you're watching this video and you're just like, what the heck is wrong with her? You can go back and watch my previous videos, or you can go to my Surviving Church and Childhood blog on WordPress and read about my experiences when I was young with regards to the rapture and this horrible movie series that I was exposed to at a ridiculously young age that had a huge impact on me. So that happened. So now, could you try again? Sorry, my Apple Watch is talking to me. So now I've got to try to figure out how to shake this off. It's not like I am sitting here paralyzed or anything like that. It's just with a complex PTSD, it's like a feeling of dread. It's like a cloud of dread that's just hanging around me that I can't get rid of, that I have to figure out how to shake off. And it makes me angry because now I feel like I can't go look at YouTube because I have to be worried about seeing this film recommendation that I just don't, or this review recommendation that I just don't want to see. And that really stinks, right? Because like I'm feeling like I have to hide from this. At first, I thought that maybe I was going to be okay. I saw it and I was like, okay, I'm doing okay. But then as time went on, it just sort of, the panic feeling just sort of snowballed and got a lot worse. So I'll probably do some tapping today to try some EFT to try to calm my anxiety down. I'm going to try to indulge in some like comfort things that will take my mind off of it and hopefully help me to get out of this cycle. Because the thing with complex PTSD with me is it's like my brain gets stuck in this loop that just will keep feeding itself and feeding itself and feeding itself. And the way that it works is that, my mind really thinks that I should be afraid, even though this is just an image on a TV. My mind is like, no, this is something you need to take seriously and you need to get away from. So, what my brain will do is if I don't pay attention, it will up the ante and it'll send me more like I have flashbacks. So, like, I'll start having flashbacks. I'll start um, remembering things and seeing things that I don't want to remember. It's like it's all behind this big door. And if the door gets opened even a crack, it all starts seeping out. And um, so my brain is like, oh, I want you to be afraid. I want you to get away. You're not safe. So I'm going to keep scaring you more and more and more until you run away. And it's like my brain doesn't understand, in a sense, with the complex PTSD, that this is just an image on a screen. It's not actually happening to me. Part of that is because I was exposed to these movies when I was, a toddler on. And so, it's a very lizard brain kind of response. So, anyways, dealing with that. And I guess I want to normalize these things. I want you to understand that I don't always have it all together. I haven't figured it all out. I've been writing about it and talking about it with people and working through it with my therapist. And it's still like I'm a work in progress. And complex PTSD never goes away. I don't believe for a minute. I've heard some people say, oh, you can be healed from this. I don't think it's true. I think that you can manage it. And that's what I do. So, sorry, I need a drink. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was the work that I've been trying to do with my local legislators to get a couple bills passed. One would close the clergy loophole here in Wisconsin, and the other would end the statute of limitations. Well, it would give women until they're 35, basically, or men till they're 35 to prosecute. Right now in the state of Wisconsin, if a child comes to you and you're a pastor and they report that they have been a victim of like SA, they don't have to report it. They're not mandatory reporters, anyone who's a minister in the clergy. And that's caused so many problems with people I know and people in my survivor group and whatever. So I've talked about that before. But anyways, trying to get these bills passed, trying to raise awareness about these bills. And what happens? Of course, the Republicans are not on board. And they've been trying to pass bills like this for about a decade and haven't been able to. I have a lot of feelings about why the Republicans aren't on board, but that's not what I'm going to talk about in this video. It's a really hard thing to cope with not being able to get justice for what has happened to you in your childhood. Like, it's really hard to know that my abuser is out there pastoring a church and like there's nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry. There isn't anything I can do to drag him to justice. Like, he's just out there. And I just have to keep hoping that the laws will change and hoping that he's not hurting someone else. But we know that like predators don't stop, right? Unless they're caught. It's pretty rare for them to stop what they're doing. And I think that in some respects, I want justice because I want validation. I want someone to say, we see what happens and what happened and we believe you and we're going to take action because that's never happened. Like, no one has ever done that. And so I think there's a part of me that desperately wants that validation, that wants someone to say, like, we believe you, and we're going to bring this person to justice, and we're going to, take him out of his church so that he's not around, exposed to children and things like that. And it's really hard to not have that, even though, like, I have family and friends and people around me who have said to me, like, I believe you and I validate you. I know that this happened. Um, for some reason, I feel like I want to close this cycle, but I can't close it because there's been no justice. And I don't know how to feel about that. Like, I don't know how to feel different about that. Like, I don't want to have to be, you know, dealing with this for the rest of my life. I'm 51 years old. Like, I'd like to be able to close this chapter and say, I spoke my truth. I brought him to justice. And now I can, move forward. And in some respects, I feel like I can't move forward. I'm always waiting to find out that there's another victim or to hear that another victim's come forward. Because I mean, if another victim came forward who wasn't outside of the statute of limitations, then, maybe he could be brought to justice. But I can't bring him to justice. And I think it's crazy that our laws are such that just because something happened a long time ago, that person doesn't deserve to have to go to court and face the laws of our country. I mean, if we have like a dangerous murderer out there, just because he murdered someone 20 years ago or 30 years ago, if they find out about it, they're going to drag him to court. Like, he's going to have to face the music for what he did. And I don't understand why we allow people who harm children to just go free because it was a long time ago. Because the reality is that abuse affected the entire trajectory of my life and is still affecting me. And no, it isn't murder, but it has in a lot of ways been really destructive in my life. And so I feel like I should be able to bring him to justice. But I have to find a way to deal with that need, because it makes me feel bad about myself, even though I have people, like I said, around me who have said, I believe you, and they validate me and they're positive with, their affirmation about what happened. But there's a part of me that just feels like it isn't real. Like, it didn't really happen unless the law says it really happened. And I know that I have to get past that. So, if you're watching this, you're probably a survivor too. If you have tips for me on how to move past that feeling of like it isn't real, or like needing that validation of seeing him in court, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your suggestions for how I can get past this. So once again, my blog is Surviving Church and Childhood at WordPress. And my email address is survivingchurchandchildhood@gmail.com. So for the couple of people who are watching, I'm really grateful that you watched my video. And I always like to have correspondence with people in the comments or through email. So you can always feel free to, if you have questions or suggestions, pop them into the comments and I will read and respond to them, I promise. Even if I don't respond right away, I will respond. So I'm sorry that I'm so emotional today. I know you guys aren't used to seeing me that way, but yeah, I think this is bothering me like way more than I even anticipated when I hopped on this live. So thank you for bearing with me, and we'll talk soon, okay? Bye.